right, let's go back to one of our top stories and what was supposed to culminate in the signing of a minerals deal between the United States and Ukraine ended in a dramatic fashion, with US President Donald Trump clashing with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. The American president gave his Ukrainian counterpart the ultimatum to make a deal with Russia or lose US support. For more on this, we're now joined by Director at Africa-Asia Dialogues, Thembisa Fakude, and he joins us now via our video link. Thembisa, thank you so much for your time. One would say that you really can't script what we witnessed today take place in the Oval Office. And I mean, most of us have never seen something like this take place, where two presidents clash during a press briefing. What do you make over what we witnessed today in the Oval Office?
I think it's a deterioration of diplomacy, it's a deterioration of international politics as we know it, and importantly, a deterioration of certain mannerism that we've gotten used to in terms of how these things are conducted. This was extremely bad in whatever way you look at it. And there is no way of justifying how or why Volodymyr Zelenskyy was berated in the manner in which he was berated by both J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. This is a president of the country, and it's not the first time, by the way, that Donald Trump has done this. And President Macron of France stood up against him and corrected him when he was making certain utterances which were unfactual. We saw him with the King of Jordan, King Abdullah. He did the same, caught him off guard and called this press conference, and the intention was again to embarrass him. But I think they didn't expect Volodymyr Zelenskyy to respond in a manner in which he responded. And of course, he had been watching the videos, and he has, I think, to an extent, expecting this. And for the sake of his people, he had to stand up to Donald Trump.
And Thembisa, when it comes to this hostility that we saw take place in the White House today, and knowing very well that the US has been supporting Ukraine in this war with Russia, where does this leave the relationship between these two countries, particularly at a time when Ukraine finds itself in a war with Russia?
I think it was important for Volodymyr Zelenskyy to take the position he's taken, basically communicating to Trump that whatever deal you're going to be reaching with Russia is going to be peace between yourself and Russia. But as long as Ukraine hasn't got a space on the table, that deal is not going to be effective. And basically what Volodymyr Zelenskyy was saying today is that they're going to continue with the war, whatever it takes, because this war is bigger than Ukraine. This war, if the deal that Trump is talking about is allowed to go ahead, he said the next country could be Poland. The next other countries could be the former USSR countries in East Europe, which is correct. But importantly, I don't think that Vladimir Putin, having been emboldened at this moment with the most powerful nation on earth, will stop there. We know that he has ambition of resuscitating the past glory of USSR. So you are likely, therefore, that all these countries that will be part of the USSR might just be the next target for Vladimir Putin. So it's important that he stopped on his tracks in this regard. We're not saying there mustn't be peace in Ukraine, but it must not come at all costs, because if it does come as Trump has proposed and suggested between the United States and Russia, first meeting that was held in Saudi Arabia, you are likely, therefore, to have a push right into the hinterland of Europe, and I don't think the Europeans would like to see that happening.
Yeah, and also you are mentioning there are a number of European countries in that regard when it comes to Ukraine, and looking at some of the statements being made today by US President Donald Trump, saying to Volodymyr Zelenskyy that you are gambling with World War III. What do you make of those statements?
Well, I think it was a threat, but I'm sure wherever Vladimir Putin is sitting, he was clearly happy to hear those kind of statements, because that's a threat which I don't think is going to be realized.
Yeah.
But again, the most important message that was sent is that Europe is on its own. NATO is basically going to collapse as we know it. It's going to be NATO without the United States, because if you really think about it, the establishment of NATO was mainly to prevent Russia's aggression. Now you have the president and a leading member of NATO cozying up with Russia, and this is extremely important. So the World War III talk and threat, I think again it's Trump speaking and uttering whatever comes first in his head. I don't see that happening. I think the world is exhausted. And there's a fatigue of fighting and wars around the world. People would like to see peace. And President Trump himself, we know that he's got ambitions of being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. So do whatever it takes for him to avoid the World War III.
All right. And when it comes to the signing of this minerals deal that was supposed to take place between, these two presidents, U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, where does it place it after seeing, that back and forth and those exchange of words during that press briefing?
Well, we know that it wasn't signed, one. Number two, we also know that Volodymyr Zelenskyy was basically chased out of the White House. So nothing has happened. So that's still up in the air. But Donald Trump is resolute in terms of going and extracting those minerals, or the so-called minerals that he intends going to get from Ukraine. And he's not only doing it in Ukraine, he's doing it in other parts of the world, including Greenland and in Canada, with the two countries that you like to see becoming part of United States and Gaza, for that matter, in Palestine. So everything is up in the air at the moment regarding the deal on minerals or resources from Ukraine, and we'll have to hear what will happen this weekend. But as of now, we know that Volodymyr Zelenskyy was chased out of the White House, so nothing was signed.
All right, Thembisa, thank you so much for your time this evening and analyzing what took place today in the White House between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy.